Welcome back to another crucial film. Today, we'll examine a tale called Henry's Crime. The story opens in a toll booth where a man is working his night shift as a toll collector on a dark, deserted stretch of New York's streets. He has a gorgeous face, a serious expression, and is emotionless. He doesn't seem very interested in the road, the lights, or the cars nearby. He is either working or passing the time. Finally, shift ends along with the night. He has the same icy demeanor as he makes his way home. Now that he is at home, his wife is bringing him breakfast, and they exchange frosty welcomes when his name is called. His wife says, "Henry, do you still love me?" The reply is yes, of course I do, but Henry's look stays the same. In their conversation, Debbie, Henry's wife, expresses a wish for children, but Henry, despite his affection for children, has little interest in having children of his own. Debbie doesn't appear very interested in who is ringing the doorbell because she hasn't heard back yet. Eddie enters as Henry opens the doors. Henry and Eddie seem to have been buddies at times. He is accompanied by Joe, another man who is on the ground and throwing up. They succeed in bringing him inside. Eddie informed Henry that they were going to play baseball, but because of Joe's condition, they wouldn't be able to take part. Considering that their player is currently unable to participate, he encourages Henry to join the game. However, something else was going on. This was not the baseball game. Eddie promptly replies when Henry asks about the baseball and suggests that they stop at the next bank ATM so that they can grab some cash for beer as they drive away. In addition to Eddie and Henry, there are two other men. Eddie instructed Henry to get in the car and turn on the motor before he got at the bank. Henry observes that the car is illegal because the engine cables were linked straight to start the engine before they leave. Eddie stole the car, and they were preparing to rob the bank now. When Eddie and his accomplices enter the bank to rob it, the security alarm goes off since they are totally unprepared. As soon as Henry's automobile begins, bank employees start to leave, and a security guard pulls his gun. Henry graciously raised his hands and submitted, though he had no idea what was happening. Henry, who is innocent, has been taken into custody for a crime he didn't even commit. Henry is being questioned about his companions, but he refused to provide any information. He might be too devoted to them or simply be familiar with Eddie's name. They are currently in court, where Henry has been given a 3-year term by the judge. Our docile and mute protagonist accepts everything without reservation. He is okay with it, as if living in a cell or at home doesn't matter to him. He is currently in a cell with Max Khan and seems to be doing well. They meet one another and inquire as to why they are being held. Max is a 50-year-old veteran of the prison system who is at peace there. They became friends, and on the first night at dinner Max introduced him to other awful convicts and told him about the regulations of the jail. The actual crime, according to Max during conservation, is not following your aspirations. Henry denies having a dream when the man asks him about it and questions whether he ever has. This piques Max's curiosity, and he muses about what life might be like without dreams. You see, Henry is being taught a concept by Max, a really nice guy, that will alter his life forever. A guy needs a dream before he can fulfill his purpose. The scene that follows is set 6 months later. Debbie visits Henry in prison. They remain in the same icy state as they were on day 1. Debbie is actually at this location to let Henry know that she wants to wed Joe. Can you remember him? Yes, the thief who committed the theft while initially throwing up. As he congratulates her, Henry beams. It's been another year already. Henry appears at ease in prison. Henry has grown a beard, perhaps as a result of his anguish over his wife leaving him. Max is there with other prisoners giving them haircuts and sharing stories with them. But everyone is familiar with Henry. He's not the kind to get upset over little things. Even though Henry is about to receive parole, he does not appear happy. He bids Max farewell in their cell chamber and leaves. He seemed to be unsure about where to go, so he goes to Debbie's former home. Henry didn't reveal his identity to the police during the heist, and Joe wanted to thank him for that. Cynically, Henry explains that he didn't know his name. Henry is currently jobless and homeless. If you serve the time, you might as well do the crime, Max had instructed him. He is now positioned in front of the bank after being accused of a crime there before. He is hit in the hip by an automobile. Julie Ivanova, a local actress well known for her Buffalo commercials who is currently appearing in Cherry Orchard at the neighborhood theater, is introduced in this scene. Julie is a compassionate and loving person. She warns Henry that he is fine while yelling at him for impeding traffic. Julie presents herself as if she wanted to avoid being sued. As they make their way to the cafe, Henry is now being helped by Frank, the security officer who had previously held him and recognized him as the former bank robber. So that before she heads off to practice, Julie can buy him a coffee. Henry recalls Julie from a television ad for Buffalo as they are in the cafe. Frank no longer seems to be the same, I think. Henry leaves for the restroom after Julie and Frank have completed their coffee. Henry discovers an old article posted on the wall while using the restroom at the cafe. It describes how, back in the days of Prohibition, a tunnel linked the theater where Julie and other actors are practicing a play with the bank's vault. Henry is contemplating something while reading the newspaper. Henry can commit his crime right now. Henry first pays a visit to the prison to let Max know that he has finally realized his dream. Max was confused and shocked. What kind of dream is it to rob a bank, then tell someone about it while you're in jail? He wondered out loud. He immediately rejects the idea, saying that the jail is his home and that he won't leave to rob a bank. Henry contends that he cannot live in prison his entire life and pass away in anguish. Additionally, he makes an effort to convince Max that he needs her help to break into the vault. Henry's justification holds up, and two friends end up sharing a Buffalo flat. Max notices the map is 80 years old when they arrive at the cafe where Henry read the newsletter. They had to visit the bank first and then the theater for confirmation because the bank's organizational structure had changed. Max is able to determine that there is still a tunnel inside the bank thanks to his con artist skills. After that, they head to the theater where Max poses as a veteran performer from 30 years ago. Max was introduced to Julie by Henry, and with her help, he was able to explore the entire theater. He told a manager who was aware of the tunnel his secret. The manager states that the tunnel has been closed and that one of their acts, Lo Pekin, now has a dressing room there. In the theater for the show, Henry proposes a date to Julie. They schedule a date for Chinese food to begin their romantic relationship after Henry tells her the tale. They venture out and enjoy themselves. Our heartless wooden kid seems to be having a fine time with Julie. Max thinks that they must go into the changing rooms and offers to help. Additionally, he persuades one of the actors to quit the play so that Henry can take part. In order to enter the vault, he will now pose as an actor in the Cherry Orchard. And they are successful in convincing the obnoxious director, who spends the majority of the movie telling Julie why she is a poor actor. Henry, in Max's opinion, is a natural performer. He is therefore certain that Henry won't have any issues with Lo Pekin. And Henry does indeed show his worth. They tore through the dressing room's wall, where the tunnel is nothing more than a shithole. They now need a third person to help them dig the tunnel out because it is full with sand. They visit Joe, who is drinking in a bar, as a result. He's not happy with the job he's got. Henry offers to help him with a job. The three start excavating. Henry is required to attend the rehearsal in addition to Max, Joe, and Henry's ongoing labor in the tunnel. The routine appeared to be going smoothly until Frank halted them one night and informed them that he was continuously keeping an eye on them near the bank. They make an effort to mislead, but Frank tells them that he is aware of their goals and wants to take part in them. Frank decides to play the insider and lets them know that the bank will be exchanging currencies on a monthly basis, but that it will only happen once because he is retiring. The reason Frank decided to participate in the theft is tragic. While his wife was dying, the bank turned him down for a loan. They thus recruit him. Eddie is the last bad guy we have. One night, Joe, who was drunk, brought him. He wants to get inside but won't dig. Max becomes angry, but they have to sign him up too. Julie felt irritated during the rehearsal and hurried to her room when Drek scolded her of not acting in a way that she found appealing. Our beloved Henry goes to express his condolences. He then announces that he will depart at the Cherry Orchard show's opening night. Henry has grown into a pivotal figure in the play, making his absence from the opening scene untenable. As a result, Julie's discontentment increased. She yells at him and begs him to go away. Henry will assist in a bank vault break-in during the play's opening night performance that he plans to pull off without anybody noticing. Eddie's contribution is to access the vault using welding tools. Eddie is the only one who knows how to enter a vault and operate the required machinery, despite the fact that he is an asshole. They have finally arrived at the vault with Eddie's help. On the other hand, Henry is performing in the play, yet he maintains his fitness in between acts. They carry the bags with the money inside the Lopekins' room. Eddie in the room changes into the old bullshit Eddie and commands Joe to take the money to the car while threatening Max with a handgun. He meant to take the money and hold on to it. Our con man, however, has now demonstrated his strength by knocking Eddie to the ground. The three get in the car and leave with the money. Henry motions for the car to halt so that he can pause and reflect. He becomes aware of his desire for Julie and the ladies he adores. He hastened back inside the theater, where Julie is giving her farewell performance in Cherry Orchard. Max barges in and declares his undying devotion. He demands a meeting with Julie in Moscow. After their final kiss, the relationship is ended. The theme of Henry's crime is the connection between self-realization and sentiments. Henry had no sense of direction and a miserable unhappy marriage. But after that, he feels forced to commit his crime. Maybe it's something that makes people excited. Henry likes to take chances, so when he met Julie and started feeling a connection to her, his life started to alter. This play, in Julie's opinion, is about having to start over after being forced to do so in order to survive. Henry and Julie are going to begin a new life together. We appreciate you watching this crucial movie review. Kindly hit like and subscribe.